Hello, Internet. It is I, Malik Aaron, and welcome back to Box Office Predictions. Today, we're going to be talking about Dumb Money. So, as usual, we're going to be going over the pros and cons. So, let's get to it. Pros. So, this movie is based off of an event that happened 2 years ago. It was like January 2021. It was a pretty wild event that revolved around Redditors and meme stock and GameStop and overthrowing Wall Street. It was a wild thing that happened that got a lot of attention. And it's one of those crazy stories that you're just like, I can imagine some studio executive being like, this would make a really cool movie. And boom, that's how this movie existed. So I'd say like the whole real life element of the movie probably would. I imagine people would get very curious about this movie, being like, "Wait, this was based off a real event, really?" It's like one of those stories that sounds too strange to be real, but it is real. So yeah, I imagine like the real life story would help this movie at least raise its profile. So I said the real life element of the movie, I label that as a pro. Another pro for this movie is the reviews, which are quite good. It's like in the 85%, yes, 85% critic score and 84% audience score. And I'm not sure if this has a cinema score. Does it? No, it's not popping up on here. Yeah, it's not here. So I can't comment on that right now. But reviews and audience reactions are pretty positive. So you gotta label that as a pro, obviously. And I guess another pro is that I didn't mention this with the creator, but the thing is, even though there are a lot of movies coming out this weekend, none of them are directly facing each other. They're all part of different genres and they're all going after different audiences, so none of them will technically eat into each other. So I mean that's good. And besides, like the rest of September is it's dead. It's so dead. Like, damn. Like, just look at the box office last weekend. Like, Expendables, that was a complete non-starter, an absolute disaster. So, yeah, and everything else is just old and just dead. So it's not even worth talking about. So yeah, competition is pretty minor, really, in the grand scheme of things. At least general competition. There's no direct competition either, so that's nice. So labeling that as a pro. I guess I can label the cast as a pro because there are a lot of recognizable names here. Like it's a pretty stacked cast, pretty stacked group of people. Paul Dano, Pete Davidson, Vincent D'Onofrio, America Ferrera, Nick Offerman, Sebastian Stan, Shanley Woodley, Seth Rogen, Craig Gillespie. Like, what has he made? Is anything good? Oh, I Tanya. Oh, that's a good movie. Yeah, I guess like I can't really come on the director too much, except I Tanya is really good. But Finest Hours I heard is kind of meh. Corella is also meh, so not great here. But I Tanya is very good, and that was based off a true story too about Tanya Harding and like her whole saga. So yeah, yeah, I'd say like the cast here is definitely a pro. So that's pro number. I forgot what number we were on. It doesn't matter. Okay, I think it's all right. Now to the cons. Okay. So I think the biggest con with this movie is the fact that although like the real life event that this whole movie's based on was like a big deal. Thing is that was like over 2 years ago. It's just kind of like died. I mean, this could bring it back, but not really. But it's also the fact that the appeal for this movie is very narrow. It feels like the only people who really, really care about this movie are Redditors themselves, which is not good because obviously, in order for a movie to really succeed, it has to expand to like as wide of an audience as possible, right? And appealing only to the Redditors, you're only gonna make so much money. So yeah, yeah. So the fact that this movie, it feels like it's only appealing to basically Redditors and nobody else, I'm labeling that as a con, because you're gonna have a very narrow audience, and that's never good. So that's a con. Another con is the fact that this movie opened limited release like 2 weeks ago, and it tried to like go limited, then go kind of wide, and then go wide this weekend. That was the plan. And they probably thought it would lead to positive momentum. Well, that positive momentum isn't really happening. So, yeah, it's limited release, very limited release. It didn't stick. It was kind of lackluster. In fact, it was very lackluster. Only 27K per theater average, which is not good. I mean, Bottoms earlier, like a few weeks back, that had a much better per theater average than this. So that's a yikes. That's not a good sign. And then last weekend, where it went to 600 theaters, it only made like 2.4 million, so like a per theater average of less than 4K, which was the best of the weekend, which should really tell you how poor that weekend was. But that's still not good. I wouldn't classify that as a good number. So now it's in like 2,700 theaters, 2,800 theaters. So theoretically, it should have a jump. It should, have a notable jump in box office. But the past 2 weekends have been real lackluster, and I feel like that might kill any chance of this really, you know, gain like a huge amount of traction this weekend. So yeah, previous lackluster weekends, I'm labeling that as a con. And I guess another con is that sure there's no direct competition, but there's still a lot of movies out right now. The Creator, Paw Patrol, Saw X, and those movies are getting way more traction than this. This is definitely, the odd one out when it comes to these movies. And then 2 weeks time, you have the Taylor Swift Eras Tour, which is expected to be a mega hit, a smash hit, like a movie that will kill all other movies in the marketplace. And I feel like this will definitely be one of the casualties of that potential massacre. So, yeah, so basically a lot of movies out this weekend that people care about a lot more than this, and then the Taylor Swift Eras Tour looming in the distance, like 2 weeks from now, dealing with that. Yeah, those are obviously gonna be problems. So I'm labeling that as a con, definitely. And is there anything else I can say? Not really. No, I don't think there's anything else to say. So I guess opening wide weekend. Okay, so judging by last weekend, I'm not expecting a huge bump from last weekend. Apparently, from what I've read from like early numbers for this weekend, they are dire, man. They are very not good. But I don't want to be that negative. So what can I compare this to? I guess there's The Social Network, but the thing is that had a whole lot of hype surrounding it. Hype that this movie never had, really. I mean, I thought it would have had that hype, but it just never happened. So I don't know if The Social Network's a great comparison. Actually, I think I know what could be a good comparison for this, and I'm not being positive about that. Steve Jobs. This movie, yes. This, I feel like, is a good comparison, somewhat. Because this was also like, a fall movie, an award centric flick. At least it was positioned like it. And this movie, thing is, it had a much stronger limited release, and then went wide. Many would say it went wide too fast. It jumped the gun and jumped the gun, and it just bombed completely, and that was like 7 million. So that's like the best case scenario for dumb money, but at this point, I don't think that's remotely possible. So I'm gonna say 5 million or less for its weekend this weekend. So 5 million or less, and its total, ugh, I don't know, 10, 15 million, which is pretty embarrassing for a movie like this. So yeah, ugh. Which again, this just shows you quality. It doesn't mean anything sometimes. Like, it doesn't matter how good your movie is, and no one cares. No one cares. And that's that. So, yeah. So that was Dumb Money. Now there's two more movies to talk about this weekend. There's Paw Patrol the Mighty Movie and Saw X. So stay tuned for those real soon. But yeah, that's it. That's all. Make sure to subscribe, like this video, leave a comment, turn on notifications, share the whole drill. You want to check out more videos like this? I got playlists on the homepage, all previous prediction videos I made this year. You want to watch any of those or any of the ones I've done the past few years, you can go right ahead. There's also the canceled series where I go over all the movies that were supposed to come out but didn't. I covered Dumb Money 4 times all this year, funny enough. So, first time I talked about it was episode 181. I talked about it alongside Wicked Part 1, Book of Clarence, Theater Camp, and some other movies. You Hurt My Feelings, Past Lives, and Talk to Me. So that was the first time I talked about it when it got its release date. Then, all right, the second time. What was the second time? Second time was episode 196. Talked about it alongside El Morito, which got removed entirely from the schedule, and also Book of Clarence again. So, that was the second time, and then this was when the movie was just supposed to be a wide release, and then things got really weird after that. Well, actually, not quite yet. Next time I talked about it was episode 201. I talked about it alongside Drive Away Dolls and Distant and Unsung Heroes and a bunch of other movies like All of Us Strangers and Foe and Dream Scenario and Marcia's King's Daughter. Lots of movies that I don't care about. So that the third time I talked about it, and the fourth time, the last time I talked about it, was episode 205, where I talked about it alongside Ordinary Angels, What Happens Later, and Cabrini. And I believe this was like when it got its change. Like, it decided to have like a 2-week start, a 2-week head start in limited, and then go wide in its third weekend. So yeah, talked about it those 4 times, those 4 episodes. You want to watch those episodes? I now made 208 episodes total. So if you want to watch any of them from beginning to now, you want to binge them all from beginning to now, I highly encourage you to do that. So go do it. And yeah, that's it. Oh wait, no. There's also box office recaps where I go over the box office results for any particular month. I just did my 3-part summer recap, 2023 recap for summer. It was a lot, but I got it done. So you want to watch those videos. And as for my September recap, that will come out in like 2-ish weeks, probably a week and a half. So stay tuned for that video. But if you want to watch any of the past recap videos I made on the channel, you can go right ahead. And yeah, that's it. That's all. I am out. Goodbye.